Hanukkah, 8 días de felicidad. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, 8 días de felicidad. La 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 la. La 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 la. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, 8 días de cantar. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, 8 días de cantar. La 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 la. La 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 la. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, 8 días de bailar. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, 8 días de bailar. La 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 la. La 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 la. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, 8 días de gozar. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, 8 días de gozar. La 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 la. La 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 la.
There are 2 participants in this conference. Please announce yourself.
This is the 523 Happy Hour with your host, Kelly Lincoln, here on netrootsradio.com. Yes, it's like
Oh.
And it's Saturday, September 21st, and a happy solstice day. Yes, hello, good evening, and welcome to episode 23. Happy Hanukkah of the 523 Happy Hour. And today is Midwinter Eve. We all call it the winter solstice when they say, hey, winter officially begins. Actually, we're in the middle of winter right now. We kind of like move our season starts around. So Merry Chris Hanukkah to everybody, one and all. I've been working this weekend, and kind of surprised that it hasn't been as crazy last minute as I thought it would be. But there you have it. Sunday, tomorrow, will be the big proof of the pudding as to how absolutely crazy the last minute shopping frenzy will be at my part-time place of work. And that's the joy of living in New York City. Yeah, baby! So much fun! This is the Hanukkah edition of the 523. And, it's a story about how the Maccabees rose up against the Seleucid Greeks when the Greeks demanded that everybody worship idols and desecrated the temple. And actually, the Maccabees actually invented guerrilla warfare, slinging out from behind rocks and trees instead of fighting fair in fields and open places. And that was the beginning of the Hasmonean dynasty. And but there's another story of that for a very long time was closely associated with Hanukkah, and that's the story of Yehudit, who famously got all dressed up in her finery went out into the camp of the enemy that was laying siege to her home city of Bethulia. And 5 days she spent putting off Holofernes in the Assyrian camp. And finally, she said, okay, let's do this. After she was going out at night to pray and getting the Assyrians accustomed to seeing her out with her maid at night, so there would be no suspicions arose when she did her deed. She proceeded to dress in her, get all dolled up and everything, and went to the tent of Holofernes, who was just waiting for her. He was burning with passion for her, but she had other plans. Oh, yeah. She had other plans. And before she left for the encampment, she prayed and prayed and prayed that God would protect her and would let her lie without consequence and, just do what she needed to do to save her city, because the men were too scared to do anything. And there's a reason I'm telling the story. So on the fifth night of her being in the camp, because the men of Bethulia had told Holofernes' people that, hey, if nothing happens after 5 days, we'll just surrender the city to you and worship your gods. And that is why Judith said, I'm having none of this. We are not doing this, boys. So she's in the camp for 5 days. And on the fifth day, she goes into the tent of Holofernes. And there he has a sumptuous meal laid out for them with wine and cheeses and whatever else was served at that point. Maybe goat and lamb and whatever ritually pure foods, whatever. And she proceeds to get him shit-faced drunk, passed out drunk. By presenting him with cheese. Yes, cheese. Very, very salty cheese, which makes him thirst and and so she just keeps, pouring the wine, and he keeps drinking it to quench the thirst that was caused by all the salt in that cheese. And finally he is so drunk he passes out. And Yehudit is there looking at him, and she prays to God and says, give me the strength, O Lord, to complete this task. Taking his sword, she raises it and brings it down twice upon his neck, severing his head from his body. She has her maid place the head into the sack that they brought their food in, and out into the night they go, not stopped, because the Assyrians were accustomed to seeing her and her maid go out to pray to God at night, and they just. No, Siri, I won't. Siri just, I don't know what. So they go out and into the field to pray, but they just continue back to the gates of Bethulia. And banging on the gates, they are let in, and out of the sack is pulled Holofernes' head. And the next day they bring and they call for the Ammonite, who also knew what he looked like, and told him of the resilience of the Hebrew people and how God protects them unless they sin. And he comes in, he's called in, and he looks at the head and goes, "Yeah, yep, that's Holofernes." And this screws the male courage to their sticking places, and they go down and they attack the encampment. And the Assyrians flee because they presume, well, my Lord, geez, Louise, if a woman can do this to one of our generals, what will their men do to us? And they flee in terror. And Yehudith retires to her estate, where she remains unmarried despite the blandishments of the men, because, she's, not good. She looks at them going, what a bunch of cowards. You didn't want me before. You did not want anything to do with me before I killed this man. Now you want everything to do with me. Forget it. I'm going to remain faithful to my dead husband, which she did. She dies at the age of 105. And the reason I'm bringing up this story is because I see it in some ways as a metaphor for what's going on with the impeachment. And while I don't believe that Thwimp will be removed from office because the Republicans are just too chicken shit and completely in the pocket of Putin, he will not be convicted. So he will remain in office. Curse our rotten luck. But his head has already been severed. But figuratively, the head has been severed. Because if you were looking at his rantings and ravings the past few days, you can see that, he's just running around headless like, the proverbial chicken after having its head cut off when it's just nerves, or if you remember the eyes lolling after a guillotine. Because it's still this nerve response, involuntary response. But one of the things that was brought up in that a psychiatrist was looking at, or a linguist was looking at, is the fact that he has always used the royal we, the royal third person. He never says I, he says Trump. And we. It's not me. And so they were looking at the notes from the phone call and realized that he was using the royal us. And do us a favor, though. It was do me a favor. And now it seems that Tulsi Gabbard is doing Russia a favor because the bots are now supporting her as the only candidate that can beat Donald Trump. Which is not surprising because she's always positioned herself as a useful idiot to Russia by slamming. She's allegedly a Democrat, but yet she, unconstructively critiques the Democratic Party. Appears on Fox News. In fact, there are some. In fact, she abstained from voting yay or nay on impeachment. She abstained. That's what the vote present means. I abstain. And she's a fence sitter. It just allows her to say, see, I am impartial. I didn't believe in any of that. I just voted. I was here, but I didn't vote. I can make up my mind. No, she can't. Now, she did not appear at the debates, though she said if she did qualify, she wouldn't show up. She is indeed setting herself up for and run as an independent to siphon off votes from the Bernie-crats who will not vote for anybody but Bernie, and the disaffected Thwimp voters in the Republican Party. So she is running as a Russian spoiler. Spoiler alert! Whoop, 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 whoop. Warning! Warning!
Sound the general alarm! Sound the general alarm! Sound the general alarm! Off to the deck!
The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. Look.
Russians are coming! The Russians are coming!
Not good. Not good.
No, it's not good at all. So, what we need to do as Americans is make sure that we have everybody registered to vote. If you are registered to vote, check your registration to make sure you are still registered, that you haven't been purged, that you haven't had your party affiliation switched. And, hate to say it, if you do not have identification, you must have ID. Get it now. Get identification. Get your state ID now. Avoid the voter ID bullshit. Get your state identification now. I firmly believe that everybody should have some form of identification, because God forbid something happens to you and they don't know who you are. Do you really want to be a John Doe with, no next of kin to notify? Do you really want that? To me, that is the purpose of having identification. And yeah, you gotta have your real, you've got your trace. If you never want to fly, you don't need to get the real ID, compliant ID, but you just can't fly. You can take trains, you can take a bus, but you can't board an airplane, and you may not be able to get into certain federal buildings, which means you may not be able to do jury duty. But you wanna have that identification. You always want to have that ID. In fact, I have to get my ID replaced because I lost it all. And maybe they will accept my expired passport as photo ID. Well, I've got until March, my birthday March, before it becomes absolutely invalid, but it's still good as far as identification goes. And then I get my passport renewed. So, do that. Get yourself ID'd now. Because you know damn well that come October, all this bullshit about voter ID is going to start cropping up. You also don't want to be mistaken for a sovereign citizen without ID. So, get your identification issued. State ID. If you don't drive, driver's license, you want to have that. You got to have it.
Hi, it's Tom. Just asking in the spirit of the season, which you probably have been racking your brain to give to a most worthy cause, could we humbly suggest your donation to netrootsradio.com? All we've got to run this 24-hour powerhouse of progressive resistance radio is what comes out of our own wallets. And you are our biggest donor. And it doesn't take much, $3, $5. Just go to the bottom of our netrootsradio.com page and hit our secure donate button. Heck, you can even make a recurring contribution. And you'll get a wondiferous pair of Netroots radio stickers for application to your backpack, your bumper sticker, or your banjo. Well, it's up to you which backpack you want to put it on. So donate what you'd like at the bottom of our netrootsradio.com's homepage. Because you are our biggest donor. netrootsradio.com. Together, we are Resistance Radio.
You're listening to the 523 Happy Hour with Kelly Lincoln here on netrootsradio.com.
vou fazer con alegría sin lazer. Muchas fiestas vou fazer con alegría sin lazer.
Una candelica,
Dos candelicas,
candelicas,
quatro candelicas,
candelicas,
seis candelicas,
candelicas.
8 candelas para ti.
Los pastelicos vou comer,
Los pastelicos vou comer
con almendricas y la miel.
con almendricas y la miel.
Los pastelicos vou comer,
Los pastelicos vou comer
con almendricas y la miel.
Una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, 8 candelicas, 6 candelicas, 7 candelicas, 8 candelas para mí.
And, whoop, sorry about that. My glasses just hit my microphone. Happy Hanukkah again. Merry Chris Hanukkah Quantities, Chris Hanukkah Quantities. And give yourself the Hanukkah gift of ResistBot. I use ResistBot. I love it because I'm too lazy to actually sit down and write a letter and to my representatives. And with ResistBot, this is just a public service announcement. You can text, you can email, fax, or send a post letter to your representatives by using ResistBot. I used it to contact my representatives regarding the impeachment, and I know a lot of other people have. And I highly suggest and urge you to use ResistBot to contact your state and representatives and your congressional representatives. And it's very simple. All you need to do is text the word resist, and using either Messenger or Twitter or Telegram or SMS by sending it to 50409. Just say resist. ResistBot comes back and answers you and asks for your zip code or where you live, and they find out who your representatives are, and then say, hey, what do you want to tell them? And you type it out and you send it, and then you have the option. Then ResistBot gives you the option of sending it as an email or a fax or a letter, and it's really cool. And it's a highly useful. I got response from my representatives regarding the impeachment, and I've gotten responses regarding other emails and fax that I've sent faxes through ResistBot that from them, and highly recommend ResistBot. And this has been a public service announcement from me to you, and it's the simplest way to get involved. Besides, next to going out in the streets, it's very simple, and it's cool. And it says, as an example here at resist.bot, the example is, hi, I'm ResistBot. I'm going to help you contact your officials. What would you like to tell them? And then you tell them what you want to, then you tell ResistBot what you want to tell your representatives. And his response is, sounds great, I'll deliver them to you, whomever your senators and representatives are. That simple. That simple. Standard text, messaging and data, charges may apply if you're like on a limited, if you have like so many texts per billing cycle. But I do recommend it. It's really cool. I love it. And Oh, you can also, if you want to, use Resist Bot to send a letter to your editor just by typing, sending the word editor to Resist Bot, and they'll send the last letter you wrote. If you have a letter to the editor you want to send on to your representatives, Resist Bot will do that too, and that's kind of cool. And there's this whole. I'm on their website right now, and I'm just like, I didn't know, and I really didn't know, all the folks that you could contact. Kind of cool. You can Congress, your state legislatures, and the governor, the Senate, the House, your governor, your state legislator, the DNC, the editor to submit your last letter to your representative as a letter to the editor. Share in the last letter is an open letter. Print all your officials and nearby and see who else send open letters, and you can download an image of your last letter. So it's like a lot of little sweetly cool. And and even more stuff. I'm just like going down this whole thing. You gotta check the website out. Gotta check the website out. And again, that is resist.bot. And you gotta check it out, because it's like the coolest thing ever. Oh, whoa! My program, the program director just showed me this tweet. From the Independent.uk.
Звонки Порошенко от вице-президента. Порошенко появлялся в офисе Шокина и говорил: «Байден на меня давит, он не может продвинуться с Бурисмой, можно ли это притормозить?»
Oh, yes. Onan.com, One American Jerk-Off News. Russian state TV airs Rudy Giuliani interview after Trump lawyer spreads Ukraine conspiracy theory. So there we have it. Donald Trump's personal lawyer appeared on the right-wing channel One American News, which I call Onan, on Sunday to share what he claimed, this was 4 days ago, to share what he claimed was evidence of interference by Ukraine in 2016 election and corruption by Joe Biden and his son Hunter. On Monday, segments from the interview were broadcast on Russia One, a TV channel owned by the Russian government, which has accused bias towards Vladimir Putin. So there we have. Well, I guess they just going to have their suit for against Rachel Maddow tossed out now that they are being used as a propaganda channel. This is, so what we can say. And this is, let me just go put this up on my Facebook. And you can find a link to the article at facebook.com/masterlesspeople. And you can read it at your leisure, because it's just like, oh my God. And so, hey, here we go. We have to remember that the prosecutor who was fired was because he was not doing his job. And it wasn't just Joe Biden that worked to get when he was vice president, worked to get him. The entire European community work to get this man fired. And what's interesting is that Thwimp took a personal affront to the firing of this corrupt prosecutor. They're out to get me. Now, why, if he is so clean and squeaky clean, would he be upset that a corrupt prosecutor was fired? Why would he feel that they were out to get him if Thwimp was such an anti-corruption crime fighter? Think about that. They're out to get me. They hate my gut, right? They got rid of a corrupt, they're going to, well, it does make a lot of sense if you yourself are corrupt. You're going to be upset when somebody that could protect your ass is fired. And, Rudy, what are you going to do? So,
Being with Cohen, Ty Cobb, and Jay Sekulow, while the feds get closer every night, bitching and moaning and tweeting and groaning, a new lawyer will make things right. Being with Cohen, Ty Cobb, and Jay Sekulow, while the feds get closer every night, bitching and moaning and tweeting and groaning, a new lawyer will make things right. Whoa, Giuliani. Giuliani, why are you still there? Don't you know the president's a commie? Giuliani, we don't really care. Oh, Giuliani. Giuliani, why are you still there? Don't you know the president's a commie? Giuliani,
Good to have you on Fox and Friends today.
So my conversation was a perfect conversation.
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, you have a lot of very, very bad people.
He is the wine man for the country.
They were spying on my campaign and it went right up to the top.
And a doughy pant low.
I want nothing. Remember, it was trending number one.
Gets up with the sun for a Fox News overload.
You know, it's very interesting. Adam Schiff is a sick puppy.
I can hear him with his whining.
And by the way, they've looked like fools over the last 5 days.
I can see him there online.
Mr. President. And we saved a lot of money.
And the bitch Grandpa Wine
Still want to see that server. You know, the FBI has never gotten that server.
is still on the line.
Well, Mr. President, can I ask you like a massive wall? Yes. So here's the thing. It's so disgusting what they do. Somber. So somber.
You know he needs a long vacation, but the Congress is lame. And if it snows, they'll just say that means there's no climate change. And who needs him or who wants him? We just want him to do time. And the bitch Grandpa Wine Man is still doing his lying.
And then fake news CNN is a total fake.
But, Mr. President.
The only collusion is the collusion with the Democrats.
But I hope you can join us again, Mr. President.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Call in again sometime. You know, I think he was awake.
Do you worry about Donald White House?
And I'm in the White House and I was lonely.
I know I do. Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and there's a free service that you need to know about. It's called A Place for Don.
If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, they say the noise causes cancer.
They're the nation's largest bat-crazy criminal chief executive referral service, and they can help you find the right federal facility fast.
I'm not sure that I've ever even heard of a Category 5.
A Place for Don offers free one-on-one advice for congresspeople who haven't quite made up their minds about a referral.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges.
And a personalized list of maximum security homes, one of which will be perfect for an ex-chief executive. Believe me, I know. I've been there.
We told Don, we found this place. It's affordable, it's great. You're gonna love it. Let's go look at it.
Caring for a delusional president with a limited grip on reality can be difficult.
God bless the United States.
But now there's a place for answers. A place for Don.
If you are struggling to get information about where to put your president during this difficult time, then call to get the free help you need. Call now. 1-800-FED-LOCK. That's 1-800-FED-LOCK.
You know I'm totally off script right now.
Off script. Thank you, Rocky Mountain Mike. The last three. Place for Don, Bitch Grandpa Wine Man, and Giuliani. All thank you, Rocky Mountain Mike, for your awesome parodies. But I have to say, when the Thwimp was saying he was off script, was he talking about not having a script in front of him, not having his speech in front of him, or was he talking about being off his medications? Think about that. Is he off his... Good probability that he does. He is off his meds. I got friends that go off their meds, and it's a sad sight. It's a sad thing to go off your medications like that. And I keep turning away from my microphone because my papers are all away on the other side of my laptop. Let me move them over here. There we go. So now I can... plug it back in. So now I can actually face you, my microphone, my beautiful, loving microphone, my good and loving people. Oh yeah, I kind of like got my topics rearranged, but that's okay. Tulsi and the bots. Yes, the bots are now suggesting that Tulsi is the only one that can beat Donald Trump. And so Hillary was right. I keep saying this. Hillary is Cassandra. She's a modern-day Cassandra. She's a truth teller, and nobody believes her until, but, hey, Tulsi, she never mentioned you as being as you being the asset, but you recognized yourself in the comments, so what can I say? What is there to say? Along with Tulsi being supported by Russia, state TV in mocking tones calls Trump their agent. So even if they're mocking, there may be a skoosh modicum of truth in that. But he's not an agent. He's too stupid. He's not dumb. He's maybe an asset, maybe. So perhaps, they're talking about the photo of Lavrov just standing behind and to the right of Donald Trump in the Oval Office. So maybe there is symbolism. There is indeed symbolism in that. Rumor hath it that Ivanka was in the room as well. Woo! And let's talk about, I love talking about Emmanuel Goldstein's book, or the excerpts from same. Well, It's a short book of from 1984, which I really think is the most important part of Orwell's novel, because he explains the mottos of the state of Oceania. And one must presume that Eurasia and Eastasia have similar sounding mottos in their language. But I just can't keep getting past that section of the book. And as I said last week when I was talking about it, that you have chapters 1 and chapter 3 printed, but there's no chapter 2, and that is because 1980 the book itself is chapter 2. Freedom is slavery. And we are being brought into that to think that we are free when we are totally devoted to a cult leader. Because you're free, because you don't have to think for yourself. And, on, and people keep saying, well, how could the German people be taken for the suckers, that, Hitler found them to be, and how could they follow this man? Well, he offered them freedom. He offered them the ability to be free from responsibilities by giving over all of their love and devotion and all those emotions that we spend on other people to him. And this is what Thwimp is doing with the Republican Party. He has established a cult where his sycophants, his acolytes, have given themselves over to him. He is mother, father, country, God. They are enthrall. And by the way, enthrall is another word for enslaved. So by being totally devoted to him, they can act in a way they would not normally act. And you can see that in the way that the House GOP is reacting, how Mitch McConnell is behaving, Lindsey Graham, and all of them are behaving. They dare not indulge in Crime Stop. Because if they were to indulge in Crime Stop, they would be horrified at their actions. And so by using Crime Stop, they are able to control their thoughts, their morality, and therefore be totally devoted to their God King. And sadly, cults end up one of two ways. Either they flourish and become mainstream, or the acolytes end up, three ways. The acolytes finally realize that their Messiah is not what he seems, is not who he says he is, not what he appears to be. And they rise up and abandon him. Or they rise up and kill him. Or they kill themselves, and I've referenced Jonestown and Heaven's Gate. But at some point, there becomes a breaking point one way or t'other. And recently, Christianity Today came out and said that if you follow Donald Trump, you are no Christian. He is the anathema of everything evangelicals are supposed to stand for. If you are, they say you are supposed to be an example to the world. You live a life of righteousness and purity and goodness. And if you are leading a life of, following, and if you're of filth and depravity, and you support and you follow now, to be honest, and just tell it straight, the saints, did not start out saintly. They were, in some respects, not good people. Francis of Assisi was a military deserter. He wasn't a good person, and these saints were human beings before, after their deaths, they started doing, became miracle workers and were elevated to sainthood, where perhaps they had to be bad people in order to become godly people. I don't think Donald Trump is ever going to ever achieve sainthood. And frankly, I don't even think he's going to even be in the lowest part, that he's going to be in the ninth lowest circle of hell, according to Dante. I don't even think he's going to take the place of Judas in Satan's sphincter. To me, the greatest punishment for a narcissist like that would be forced to sing the praises of somebody else. Send him to heaven where he has to sing, holy, holy, holy is the God of hosts, as his punishment. That would be his hell. Having to praise God eternally. And that's all he could say. Couldn't praise himself, couldn't talk about himself. All he would do is sit there and just say, holy, holy, holy is the King of hosts. All praise be, that would be like the perfect punishment. Because, quite seriously, he's already living in a hell of his own making. And there's nothing worse than that. What does Mephistopheles say to Faust when he talks about hell? Thinkst thou that I am not in hell? I who, nor even when he's walking the earth, he's still in hell because he can no longer behold the face of God. He is being punished for his rebellion. So, we have that. So I'm going to go back into ignorance is strength here. Because, as I said, the House GOP is practicing has, Crime Stop and thought police, and then there's the, and also with thought crime, you also need doublethink. You have to be able to hold, and people think that it's not possible to, but you can hold two opposing opinions, two conflicting opinions at the same time, and usually one wins out over the other. It's a cognitive dissonance is what it's, is. And in Ignorance is Strength, Orwell says, all past oligarchies have fallen from power either because they ossified or because they grew soft. Either they became stupid and arrogant, failed to adjust themselves to changing circumstances and were overthrown, or they became liberal and cowardly and made concessions when they should have used force and once again were overthrown. They fell, that is to say, either through consciousness or through unconsciousness. It is the achievement of the party to have produced a system of thought in which both conditions can exist simultaneously, and upon no other intellectual basis could the dominion of the party be made permanent. If one is to rule and to continue ruling, one must be able to dislocate the sense of reality. For the secret of rulership is to combine a belief in one's own infallibility with the power to learn from past mistakes. It need hardly be said that the subtlest practitioners of doublethink are those who invented doublethink and know that it is a vast system of mental cheating. In our society, those who have the best knowledge of what is happening are also those who are furthest from seeing the world as it is. In general, the greater the understanding, the greater the delusion, the more intelligent, the less sane. One clear illustration of this fact, that war hysteria increases in intensity as one rises up the social scale. Those whose attitude towards the war is most nearly rational and are subject peoples of the disputed territories. And there you are. doublethink. In practice, cognitive dissonance.
Well, they say law and order. Build a wall at the border. Quid pro quo order. Now as the Russians come over. You got an arms order. Quid pro quo order. Do us a favor. Yeah. My mind's on impeachment. I want to see them in prison. What a beautiful feeling. Quid pro quo order. Trump's days are over. Quid pro quo order. Do us a favor. Quid pro quo order. Do us a favor. Quid pro quo order. Do us a favor. Quid pro quo order.
Thank you, Rocky Mountain Mike. Once again, that was Quid Pro Quo Order. And he's just flippin' amazing. So, there you have it. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
We're all pawns, my dear.
That's correct. We are all pawns. Few queens, some kings, some knights, bishops, rooks. All there is to it. Just a little background music, my friends. So now for some. Yeah, I know I'm playing a lot of music, but hey, that's me. It's my show.
well-intentioned and principled, but you are overexcitable and you need to contain yourself. It requires you to take some medicament and so be. Get a grip of yourself, man. Calm. You may be a cheeky chappy, but you're also an exceptionally noisy one. It's not funny.
I think it's very funny. Do, 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 do. Remember, only you can prevent authoritarianism. Remember, you got to make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure you are registered to vote. Make sure your party affiliation hasn't been switched. If you don't have identification, get it now. And so, my friends, wishing y'all a happy Hanukkah. Now stay tuned for Katie Speaks with Katie Klobasish. And tune in later tonight, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight, 12 a.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. Atlantic time for the late night morning talk show with Kelly and Ricky right here on netrootsradio.com. And happy Hanukkah.
That answers some of those painful questions. It says, light one candle. A candle on a menorah. The Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. Light a candle for decency. Light a candle for hope. Light a universal candle for peace. Light one candle for the Maccabee children, with thanks to their light it didn't die. And light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. But light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never